I forced the biggest villain to be my girlfriend. She was unwilling. As the school bully, I had people beat her up every day. Until I forced her to agree. After I finished accepting the school bully's memories. At that time, the villain had already been suffering for half an hour. The system suddenly prompted me. Host, if you don't go save her, the male lead will arrive soon. Then things will be beyond saving. I had no choice but to step forward and stop that rowdy group of young men. Enough, stop it. Mu Wanning was covered in dirt from being beaten. The corners of her mouth were stained. She looked at me sullenly. At that moment, I heard the system notification sound. The villain's favorability is -91. This villain is no ordinary villain. When her favorability rating toward me reaches 100, my period has arrived. I'm so excited. I took a tissue from my pocket and wiped her face. She grumbled dissatisfiedly. Wipe my face properly. What's going on? Mu Wanning isn't a pushover. I have to grit my teeth and get through this. I just heard the villain's favorability rating drop to -92 again. This is really like dancing on the edge of a blade. Tian said to the hand beside him. Let's all go. Leave this to me, I'll handle it myself. I'll treat you to a meal when I have time. The villain's favorability rating dropped to -93. Is this still going to work? Why does the favorability rating keep dropping? I feel a bit weak. Could it be that at this moment, Mu Wanning is already ready to make a move? I gripped the tissue, too afraid to make a sound. I stared at Mu Wanning's unsteady figure. Frowned slightly. Took 2 quick steps. Just leaned over. Mu Wanning stopped in her tracks. Her tone was full of disgust. What else do you want to do? I grabbed the corner of her clothes. The pity in her eyes is genuine. I'm really scared now. Ji Wanning, I admit my mistake. Ji Wanning brushed off my hand. I persistently chased after her, never giving up. She asked with a tilted head. Will you give me a chance to work together? How? Did you change the routine of favors? Gu Shiyan, isn't it disgusting how mean you are? If you truly wish to redeem yourself, then just vanish from my view. Forever disappeared. Mu Wanning's gaze is filled with unabashed resentment. I had more I wanted to say. Then a few boys saw what was going on. I could tell right away something was wrong. The true hero is online now. Gu Shiyan, why are you picking on others again? I naturally felt irritated. Stop interfering in things that aren't your business. The faction has a -96 favorability. Caution. The villain's favorability has dropped dangerously close to collapse. I hope the host will handle the calculations correctly. I gritted my teeth. Hearing this warning, I suddenly turned my head sharply. Mu Wanning, expressionless on the screen. Lin Zixuan was choked by my words, his face turning bright red. Both of them were afraid I might do something to Mu Wanning. They immediately stood between the two of us, spreading their arms as if protecting a little chick. I don't know what happened between you and Wanning, but as long as I'm here, don't think you can hurt her again. Villain favorability rating, 97, 98, 99. Enough. These words were not only said to the system that was bothering me, but also to Lin Zixuan, who was listening. I'm not inexperienced. The task unlocked by the first challenge of S rank. Yet I ended up facing a ruthless foe like Mu Wanning. Consider me defeated. At worst, the mission fails and I get reset into the original system. Then I'll climb back up little by little from the bottom. It's not like I've never been initialized before. Isn't it just a month before Mu Wanning cuts me into 8 pieces? When I was just cannon fodder before. I haven't experienced any method I haven't tried. I have a temper too. If you want to step on my head, to increase my favorability rating with my target. No way in hell. Since I've gone all out, I might as well tear off the mask. No matter the consequences. I grabbed Lin Zixuan and slammed him to the side. Mu Wanning bit her lip tightly, glancing at Lin Zixuan, who was staggering after being shoved. Her gaze deep and dangerous. I looked at Lin Zixuan with contempt. Sneering coldly, I said, who do you think you are to interfere? I love her as much as I love to make her happy. I'm going to be bullying her for life. You're not even in the same school as me. I'm at school, who gave you the right to push me? If you want to protect her, you need to have the ability to do so. Anyone can just talk. Then I said, as long as I'm here in the future, no one else can lay a finger on Mu Wanning. After I finished saying such a long string of words, Mu Wanning's favorability rating had already plummeted to a low point. But I saw Lin Zixuan's shocked expression. I'm absolutely thrilled. My original task was to save the villain. Now, I actually feel like I'm a complete villain. I lowered my head and glanced at Mu Wanning, not caring about what she thought. I gave in and left. Lin Zixuan blocked me again, looking at Mu Wanning with worry. Gasping, he said. Speak. How can you let Mu Wanning go? Let go. I would like to let go. Once I'm out of the system, can I be let go? Right now, I'm just like abalone on a chopping board. Just waiting for Mu Wanning to carefully plan something. Send me off. I said fiercely, you're dreaming. I also have to bring Mu Wanning along. I pushed Lin Zixuan aside. With a force that stopped him, he toppled and fell to the ground. Mu Wanning paused her steps. She tried to pry her arm out of my grip. I tightened my hold. A cold, emotionless smile appeared. He threatened in a low voice. Do you like him? Mu Wanning's body. This reaction is understandable. After all, in the original setting, Mu Wanning, as the female supporting character in Lin Zixuan's life, liked him so much she's gone crazy. I am smiling. Then continued. His father's company has a partnership with our family, but theirs is a small local company. I could crush it with a finger. If you want to make him suffer along with you, you can completely choose not to come with me. In that instant, Mu Wanning's gaze was like a sharp cup. She wished I would die on the spot. After leaving Lin Zixuan's line of sight, I stood by the roadside and called my driver. Mu Wanning hugged her school bag. Her voice asked me, "Can I leave now?" Without a second thought, I refused. "Anyway, you're quite ungrateful. But luckily, I found your weak spot. You wouldn't want others to suffer because of you, right? Mu, classmate." Mu Wanning furrowed her brows tightly. Her hoarse voice said, "Gu Shiyan, how can you be so ruthless? I don't even know Lin Zixuan. I don't like him either. You can't threaten me." I gave a push. "Exactly. Is that so? Secretly, I will call my dad right now. I think Lin Zixuan has long been an eyesore to you. Since you don't like him either, then it doesn't matter anymore." Mu Wanning saw that I was really about to call. She hurriedly grabbed my hand just as I was about to dial. Her entire body was trembling. With a hoarse voice, she asked me, "What exactly do you want? What's good about me? You insist on clinging to me. You like my face, right?" Mu Wanning suddenly went crazy, grabbing at her belly. I hurried to stop her, but Mu Wanning pushed me away forcefully. She said I had ruined it. "Can you please let me go? Mu Wanning is insane." Although I knew it from the start, I had never experienced it so directly before. I asked her. I said I like you as a person. Are you about to give up? Mu Wanning stared at me for a long time before saying, "If this is what you want." I grabbed her hand suddenly, and said sternly, "Don't even think about it. If you dare give up on me, I'll go after you say it." Gu Wanning has a weakness. The biggest weakness is your mother. My legs are weak. Almost got off the road. The voice pleaded with Gu Shiyan. Stop making trouble. The driver drove over. My heart is in turmoil, but with a cold face. But no one can tell, that's also the case with the order. I stuffed Mu Wanning into the back seat, talking to the driver expressionlessly. Go to Jiangcheng. Call my personal doctor. Ji Wanning said nothing along the way, looking out the car window with a pale face. I touched my chin. This is different from my plan to capture Mu Wanning. Let me think back to what I just said. It's really disgusting. But I can't help it. If the mission fails, the worst you can do is go back to the furnace and start over. Nutrition is the key to the strategy target GOE 7. Nutrition, then I will be considered as a person who does not protect. It will directly erase autonomous consciousness. Alright. No awareness. It's like a walking body. I'm shivering. Silently asking the system in my mind. Am I doomed? The system gave an honest answer. Although, host, you really are outrageous. But anyway, it's still the same. There's still 1 month left. Keep trying a little longer. I don't want to try anymore. I just want to be a salted fish. I slumped inside the car, silently taking my medicine. Why do I have to bear the original owner's mistakes? Next time tasks are assigned. Can you give me a villain who's oblivious to the world to win over? I handed Mu Wanning over to the private doctor. I just curled up on the bench, hugging Mu Wanning's worn-out school bag. I have no idea how long this bag has been used. There are even patches sewn underneath. Actually, Mu Wanning is really quite miserable. The impatient elder Gacheng of the Mu group. Back then, he abandoned his original girlfriend because of power and influence, and married a wealthy heiress. At that time, he had no idea that his girlfriend Yi Qing was already pregnant. Yi Qing pitied the unborn child in her belly. After a 10-month pregnancy, she gave birth to Mu Wanning. She struggled alone to raise her child, but the wealthy heiress somehow caught wind of this. At first sight, I admired Mu City. She also learned that there was such a big illegitimate daughter, Mu Wanning, outside. Then secretly made a move. After Mu Wanning grew up, she and her mother came to Jiangcheng, hoping to start a new life. But they ended up running into the original school bully. It's truly never peaceful for a moment. Just as I was thinking about what to do next, my private doctor Zhou Shui came out holding the test results. Her expression was not very good. I'm worried those people, unaware of their limits, will harm someone. So I had Mu Wanning undergo a comprehensive medical checkup. Seeing Zhou Shui's gloomy expression, I thought, this is not good. Zhou Shui handed the test results to Zhu, and explained, she has many new and old injuries on her body. Her ribs had been broken before, and it seems they never healed properly. Her health is also poor. Very weak. Whose child is this? not even given enough food to eat. Look at how badly her stomach is damaged. I won't say anything more. Zhou Shui asked about the cause of the injuries on her body. I didn't dare to speak. Zhou Shui asked again, is she your classmate? I bit my lip, bowed to her and said, thank you, Dr. Zhou. May I take her with me now? Zhou Shui looked at her watch and said, I'll give her some more 4 fluids. After the infusion, it should be about an hour. Zhou Shui examined me for a moment, then frowned and said, Gu Shiyan, I know the things at home have affected you deeply, but I hope you won't fall apart. The Gaokao is approaching. Keep it up. My gaze darkened. Nodding, he said, I understand. It was already dark outside. When I came in carrying the white porridge I bought outside, Mu Wanning was lying in bed receiving an 4 drip. The wounds on her face and body had all been treated. Gu Shiyan had gauze taped to the corners of his eyes. It looked quite comical. I cautiously approached, placed the porridge on the table, sat obediently to the side and spoke. I've thought it over today. It's my fault. I really know I was wrong. My original intention was to make you look at me more. But, I really can't excuse the disgusting things the original did. I scratched my head irritably and said, forget it. I give up explaining. Instead, I said, Dr. Zhou said, your stomach is not good. Drink some porridge. It can nourish your stomach. I opened the porridge lid and pushed it over to her. Mu Wanning smiled. He said sarcastically, is this a slap or a sweet date? Do you think I would be grateful for this? I didn't think that way. I won't hurt you again. He said bitterly, giving up on himself. Just consider it a sudden conscience awakening. You hate me, and you should. Then keep hating me. Anyway, I've given up. Mu Wanning didn't show any reaction because of my words. Not even a ripple was stirred. I lowered my head. I apologized. I won't let anyone hurt you again. I know you hate me. I also know you want me to disappear forever. But can we talk about this? I cautiously asked a question. If it's just if. If you really want to do something to me, can you use a more tactful method? I'm afraid of pain. First, the original story had no process for my death. But just looking at the ending, you know how tragic it was. Was cast aside. I was dismembered. Mu Wanning would gain her dreams from me, and thus walk a path of no return. This task is pretty nonsensical. I'm too hot and hurt my fist. Heard the system coffee. Host. Why do you have to say things like that? What if you remind her? Shut up. I'm gambling. Gambling that I will expose Mu Wanning's thoughts. She will have fewer similar thoughts about herself. Mu Wanning turned her head away. The coldness in her eyes hasn't lessened. I don't understand what you're saying. I scratch my head but still don't understand. I don't understand. Okay then. Although I know Mu Wanning is pretending, but I have to do the full set. Mu Wanning didn't drink that bowl of porridge after giving birth. She was taken off the 4 drip. Lin Zishuan took out the 4. Then walked straight out. I followed behind her. Seeing her ready to take the main road home, I was stunned and asked, where are you going? Mu Wanning glanced at me. I gritted my teeth. I said, let me take you back. Hui Wanning coldly said there's no need. I can take the bus back. What was I going to say again? But thinking of Mu Wanning's innate pride, I fell silent. Only saying that I will go back with you. I was awkward and uneasy. I insist on sticking close to Mu Wanning. I bowed my head. Bored senseless, standing in line at the bus stop, kicking at the gravel. Hui Wanning lowered her head, and saw my messy short hair. Just like before, I had indeed once felt a flicker of goodwill toward this man. When I mentioned this matter, Wanning secretly despised herself. At that time, the kid had just transferred to this school. His skin under the school uniform. The clothes on him had already been washed so often they looked faded. He looked poverty-stricken through and through. Number 2 middle school is one of the top schools in Jiang City. Naturally, it carried an air of privilege. The surname isn't anything impressive. Transferring midterm, I was assigned to a poor class. But this class was also a gathering place for those who didn't study at all. Those people spoke of her in a condescending tone. Only I smiled and walked over to talk to her. At that time, she still thought it was a kind smile. I realized it was just because I had some ulterior motive. I noticed Mu Wanning was staring at me. I hesitated for a moment. I raised my head. I furrowed my brows in confusion. Mu Wanning pursed her lips and said, "You want me to be your girlfriend?" Then, clearly, "What do you want to get from me?" The girl unexpectedly stepped closer to me. The distance between us shortened. If Mu Wanning had a knife, she could easily slit my throat. I rubbed my nose awkwardly. I said anxiously, "I don't want anything from you." Besides her fragile body, Mu Wanning also had this pretty and this beautiful face. She really has nothing at all. Mu Wanning sneered and said sarcastically, "Xing just wants to use me for fun. You don't need to pretend with those useless tricks. You want me to be your girlfriend. Fine, I'll be." I almost thought I was hallucinating. The bus slowly stopped in front of me. Mu Wanning stepped up and walked inside. I hesitated for a moment. I uncertainly followed and asked, wait, what did you say? What did you just say? That line doesn't quite fit your character. But I desperately wanted an answer. Ji Wanning tugged at the corner of her mouth and said, I said, you already have me. Whatever you want me to do, I'll do it. You should be satisfied this time, right? Mu Wanning sat alone in a front row seat. There were no empty seats around. I braced myself by holding the bus railing and stood beside her. I asked in my mind, system, isn't something off about this vibe? The system says yes. I asked her again how much her favorability rating toward me was. The system said the villain's favorability rating is -100. Hearing this hopeless answer, I frowned. What does that person want to do? The system immediately said, to view the target's inner thoughts, only 100 points are required. I immediately refused. No other reason. I already used all my points to initialize this level mission. With no progress whatsoever in the mission. I'm just a penniless guy. Dating someone who holds a deep grudge against me. What kind of feeling is that? I watched Mu Wanning limp toward the dilapidated tube-shaped apartment building. Feeling melancholy inside. In the original story, Mu Wanning did live well during this period. For no other reason than. First, the stress of the college entrance exam. She wanted to get into a very good school. To change her own fate. Second, to avoid suspicion from anyone after dumping me. But she never considered having anything to do with me. Avoid causing trouble. Mu Wanning's words completely deviated from the main storyline. I felt a bit confused and at a loss. I clenched my teeth. Fearlessly rushed forward. If you don't understand, just ask directly. Anyway, I'm the one they want. I initially wanted to politely hear out Mu Wanning's thoughts. But as soon as I spoke, I wished I could slap myself. Because I said, didn't you say you didn't want to be with me? How did you change your mind? Mu Wanning coldly glanced at me. Remained silent all along. Continued walking forward. I hurriedly tried to fix it. What I mean is. Mu Wanning suddenly pressed me against the street lamp. Her voice turned cold as she said, what do you really want? Her hand tightly grasped my collar. Her voice was cold and ruthless. You said you wanted me to be your girlfriend. I considered. What do you want now? Honestly, I really dislike you. The grip of her hand grew tighter and tighter. I'm not a delicate person. But when accused, I couldn't help but frown. I looked up at Gu Shiyan, whose expression was somewhat gloomy. Mu Wanning never hid her annoyance towards us. She just saw this rare expression on my face. Suddenly, she seemed a bit confused. I said in a low voice, could you please let me go? I've told you before. I don't like being treated this way. Mu Wanning loosened her grip. I suddenly spoke up, leaving only 1 month left. I will make it up to you. After saying this, I turned and walked away. That's too terrifying. Mu Wanning's expression just now was on the verge of crushing me. Forget it, let's take it step by step. As soon as Mu Wanning got home, she tried to hide in her room. She didn't want her overworked mother to worry about her again. But things didn't go as she wished. As soon as she entered, she saw her mother holding a cross-stitch. Sitting under the dim light. Lowering her eyes. Her fingers kept weaving through the embroidery cloth. Mu Wanning pulled her school bag tightly. Yi Qing looked up briefly. She accidentally pricked her finger with the needle. She exhaled a cold breath. Quickly putting the bleeding spot into her mouth. She stood up and asked, did you get into a fight again? Chang Wanning moved her lips slightly. Lowering her eyes. Yi Qing quickly checked her injuries. I felt incredibly heartbroken. She didn't dare to promise anything. She weakly said, then what should I do? Mom will talk to the teacher tomorrow. The college entrance exam is coming soon. It can't go on like this. Mu Wanning lifted her school bag and said lightly. No need. I can manage on my own. It's already very late. Mom. You should go to bed early. Yi Qing froze briefly. She lowered her head. Asked with difficulty. Wanning. Do you hate Mom? Mu Wanning's chest heaved unevenly. Saying I don't hate is impossible. But now, her eyes were surprisingly gentle. No. You're overthinking it. I'm going to do my test paper. Yi Qing sighed. Rubbing her sore eyes, she said. I'm hungry. There's food in the kitchen. Heat it up yourself. Mom is a bit busy. Mu Wanning paused in her steps. In the end, she said nothing. Mu Wanning hurriedly took out her homework notebook. Instead, she opened the drawer of the desk. Suddenly pulled out a weapon. This knife symbolized her hardships. It was also the driving force that pushed her to climb upwards. At that time, she was still young. Her mother brought her to live in Longcheng. She ran a very small vegetable stall alone. Yi Qing was really handsome when she was young. Some children would envy her for having a beautiful mother. She was proud once. It wasn't until later that she understood. Beauty on the face isn't always a badge of honor. It could also be the beginning of disaster. That year, she was just in elementary school. Ji Wanning went home. She saw that thug forcing her mother. She cried out and shouted. She desperately grabbed. Then knelt on the ground, begging for mercy. Hoping he would spare her mother. But that person could easily pick her up with one hand. The thug was very arrogant. Before closing the door, he threw her this knife. He told her, "Little girl, you're not worthy yet to see me. You have to use this." Pain flickered in Ji Waning's eyes, forcing her to detach from the memory. The ground looked at the knife expressionlessly. It was put into her school bag. This kind of life. She had enough. Meanwhile, on the other side, I lay on my spacious bed, tanned twice over. Being dressed as the son of a wealthy second-generation family definitely comes with perks. Although my father isn't my biological parent and my mother doesn't love me. But what does that matter? Having assets is enough. No matter what kind of world it is. That's the truth. I was thinking over there. Suddenly, a warning sounded in my mind. I jolted awake. Immediately sat up straight. The system said. A check revealed that the favorability rating of the current target has dropped below the limit. The key items have reached the maximum limit. The original plotline is starting to deviate. Host, please pay attention. How exactly is it deviating? What key items? As long as it doesn't conform to the original world storyline, the favorability line will deviate. I'm not a newbie after all. I'm quite familiar with situations like this. I understood what the system implied. That new favorability events will occur. This plot will strongly impact the predetermined target's life path. Just now I was thinking there was no sign of any turning point. The target of the strategy is already causing trouble. The system quickly pulled up the footage. Only the key item's appearance was shown. An open spring-loaded top. It was labeled as one of my main key items. My expression darkened. This thing is already activated. It seems my deadline really has been moved up. I irritably grabbed my hair. I knew it was strange when Mu Wanning suddenly said she wanted to be my girlfriend. So she really couldn't bear it anymore. If following the original character's mindset. Upon hearing Mu Wanning's reply, he would definitely be so happy he'd forget to leave. Lower his guard. This only gives Mu Wanning an opportunity to take advantage. I was worried and distressed all night. With the idea of having the villain struggle a bit more. I bought breakfast for 2 on the way. Gaosan Village. Morning self-study starts at 6:30 a.m., so you have to be at school by then. Mu Wanning feels sorry for Cake Mom. Not yet. She hasn't had breakfast once in these 3 years of high school. I'm planning to take the sentimental route. But I don't know if this will still work on Mu Wanning. The original character was a poor student. Never attended morning self-study sessions. When I walked in, the classmates were all somewhat incredulous. Mu Wanning didn't even lift her head when she heard the noise. She was bent over her desk writing test papers in the back row. When I passed by Mu Wanning, I slipped the breakfast into her drawer. Then sat 3 rows away from her. Mu Wanning frowned. She lowered her head and glanced at the fragrant soy milk. And 3 greasy meat buns. Took a sticky note off the plastic bag. On it was written, "Your breakfast. Eat well." Mu Wanning expressionlessly crumpled the note into a ball. Throw it into the pile. She originally wasn't hungry. But after smelling the aroma, her stomach kept growling relentlessly. For the past 2 years, some meals were full, some were empty. It made Mu Wanning's stomach ache in pangs. She looked up for a moment. At me, laughing together with those delinquent boys. I lowered my head in despair. Afraid someone would notice. I took a sip of soy milk while holding a bun in my mouth. The soy milk had peanuts and sugar added. Surprisingly tasty. I finally breathed a sigh of relief catching Mu Wanning's movement from the corner of my eye. I quickly asked the system to check the favorability rating. The result showed the villain's favorability rating was -100. She ate my food and still is this harsh to me? I said angrily to the system. Enough, system. I don't want to check anymore in the future. Just block this function for me. So I don't get angry every day. What's the use of favorability anyway? Forget it. Meanwhile, Mu Wanning restrained herself and only ate 1 bun. The remaining 2 were carefully hidden inside the drawer. She planned to take the buns home for her mother to try. At that moment, I didn't know what I had said to those people. Suddenly, I picked up my backpack and walked towards her. Mu Wanning's body stiffened. I saw myself pull out the stool beside her and sit down. I took out a clean test paper and spread it on the table. With hopeful eyes, I said, "Can I copy your homework?" Mu Wanning composed herself and said, "Don't you never do your homework?" I scratched my head and smiled. "So you've actually been paying attention to me." Mu Wanning sneered with a cold face and said sarcastically, "You're overthinking it. Don't you know that because you don't do your homework, your credits have been deducted to -7. If it weren't for your dad, you would have been expelled long ago." I couldn't stop the twitch at the corner of my mouth. I almost laughed from anger. "If you won't let me copy, then fine. Can't I just write it myself?" I turned my head with a scowl at the test paper. "It actually seems like I wrote it myself." Mu Wanning was a bit surprised. Didn't she say similar things before? Back then, I would help her change clothes and feed her. Arrogantly said, so what if I don't study? I have a good dad. Who's like you with nothing at all? I guess I can only study hard. I don't know what Mu Wanning is thinking. I've crossed through so many worlds. I'm just afraid of ending up in a world where I have to follow the school storyline. Because I really have no interest in studying. I stared at the math test paper. I filled in whichever answer looked okay. For what I didn't understand, I just randomly wrote a number. Others take an hour to finish one test. I finish one in 5 minutes. Mu Wanning frowned. There wasn't a single correct answer on that test. I noticed Mu Wanning sneaking a look at me. She raised an eyebrow. A bit smugly said, how about that? My speed in answering is fast enough, right? I don't think the homework is that difficult. Mu Wanning was sarcastic when she spoke. She just sneered coldly. She was as sarcastic as possible. Forget it, I won't argue with her. End of the morning self-study session. I took out the same breakfast machine as Mu Wanning's and placed it on the table. Mu Wanning struggled to avert her eyes. I hurriedly forced myself to focus on the test paper. Soon she saw my hand holding a steamed bun. Brought it right in front of her eyes. I held a tissue in one hand. I said nonchalantly, I can't eat this anymore. You help me eat it. I didn't wait for Mu Wanning to react. I directly stuffed it into her mouth as she was about to speak. Then I gracefully withdrew. Leaning back in my chair, I watched Mu Wanning's stubborn expression. If she weren't such a school bully, then this role would actually be quite interesting. Mu Wanning is somewhat refined when she eats. Leisurely. She should have been a really good person. At this moment, a sloppily dressed girl in a school uniform came up to me and said, Gu Shiyan, why did you come so early today? Jiang Yuyao glanced at Mu Wanning, who was bowing her head, and frowned, showing some dissatisfaction as she said, why are you sitting here? Isn't it dirty? Those words didn't provoke any reaction from Mu Wanning. But inside, I felt uneasy for a moment. I cautiously glanced at Mu Wanning, and verbally retorted, not dirty. Where do you see dirt? Just wipe it off. Jiang Yuyao let out a laugh. She glanced at Mu Wanning. She said a sentence to me. Got bored of playing. Come back early. I was confused for a second. Then Jiang Yuyao placed the iced milk tea she was holding in front of me. Put it in front of me. She added. And added some sugar. I instinctively said thank you. Jiang Yuyao raised her brows. A little surprised. Are you crazy? The whole batch of stuff. I got angry. Only that person is sick. Just suddenly attacked me. Jiang Yuyao also did not confirm with me. She threw down her bag and came back to ask me again. Going out for a walk. I bought a new motorcycle. I kept nodding. I pulled Wanning's hair. Lying from the heart. From now on, I will study hard with my girl group friends. Jiang Yuyao's patience also snapped. She mocked. You took the wrong medicine this morning. Don't mess around, hurry up. The teacher will be here soon. We can't skip class anymore. I said sincerely. I really didn't cause any trouble. I'm going to turn over a new leaf. After all, my girlfriend studies well. I want to get into college with her. Jiang Yuyao heard me calling her my girlfriend over and over. She immediately slammed the table in pieces. Stop joking around. A girlfriend, really? She's just a plaything. She doesn't deserve it. Are you blind or has your brain gone mush? Didn't you have someone block her yesterday? And today you're acting like the good guy. Stop messing around and let's go. I listened to her rambling on and on. My left eyelid twitched rapidly. Mu Wanning's mouth curved into a mocking smile. I felt like I had a splitting headache. I gritted my teeth and said I really consider her my girlfriend. She's not a plaything. I am serious. I won't hang out with you guys anymore. What happened yesterday? Bullying her. It's my fault. I've changed. From now on, don't cause her any trouble. Ji Wanning listened as I spoke seriously. Her eyes gradually lowered. Jiang Yuyao was already getting angry. She sneered coldly. Gu Shiyan, you really are something. Others don't know, but I know exactly what you are. Jiang Yuzhen turned her head. She spoke harshly to Ji Wanning. What were you saying to him? Seeing that Mu Wanning ignored her, Jiang Yuyao reached out and slapped her face, saying, I'm talking to you. Mu Wanning's anger flared up in an instant. She clenched her fists and said, if you're talking to me, do I have to answer you? Jiang Yuyao's temper flared again. You. Do you want to die or what? Jiang Yuyao grabbed Mu Wanning's collar and pulled her up. The surrounding ordinary students immediately held their breath, not daring to make a sound. And that group who have been fighting all year round had already started setting up tables and chairs, ready to watch the show. They were even provocatively whistling. At that moment, I slapped Jiang Yuyao's hand. I said coldly, let go. Jiang Yuyao had never seen me like this before. She knew that I was truly angry at this moment. What the hell is going on? Before, I was bragging to them every day, saying I would coax Mu Wanning over to be my lackey, completely breaking her pride. So why are we turning against each other now? Seeing Jiang Yuyao didn't react, I gritted my teeth and said, I told you to let go. I forcibly pulled Jiang Yuyao's hand away. I shielded Mu Wanning behind me. Frowning, I said, this has nothing to do with her. Everything was my own choice. Jiang Yuyao's face turned dark. She sneered coldly. She viciously kicked the desk. I couldn't dodge in time and hit my side at the waist. Suddenly, I felt a cold gasp. Jiang Yuyao also didn't go out to play. She sat on the left side not far from us. The small followers who had been behind me before also found it strange. Brother Wan, you're really acting strangely today. I felt a pain around my waist, clenching my teeth angrily, seeing everyone leave. Only then, in pain, I supported my waist and sat down. After I adjusted my school uniform, I noticed the place that was bumped by the table already left a red mark. That was a really harsh blow. Ji Weining kept watching my movements. Seeing me like this, my body tensed up. My hand was still gently massaging my waist. Ji Weining suddenly tore off my clothes. Her expression fluctuated unpredictably as she spoke. I whispered quietly, guessed. Mu Weining pouted and said, you deserved it. I think if I let myself go, I really could start an argument with Ji Wanyan at any moment. Ji Wanyan continued to say, why do you care about this kind of thing? I opened my eyes wide and said, you will use it. She will use you, huh? Mu Wanyan sneered and said, it's not like I haven't been betrayed before. When she said this, her eyes were fixed on me. A flush of guilt rose to my face. Then I nervously said, I said yesterday, you can only be bullied by me. Letting them bully you wouldn't work, right? Mu Wanyan took out a new test paper and said coldly, then why bother falling out with them? I bit my lip. I don't like what they say. Gu Wanyan said mercilessly, you haven't exactly said less in response before. We're all the same, no better than each other. Mu Wanyan's words got more biting one after another. Mainly because I really couldn't argue against those words. I twirled the corner of my school uniform with my fingers, muttering to myself, I'm different from them. I've truly turned over a new leaf. Mu Wanyin cleared her throat and said, Jiang Yuyao isn't wrong. You really should be more clear-headed. I can't hold on anymore. What am I even doing all this for? How can you say that about me? I've been a bit nicer to you. You're still gasping for breath. Mu Wanyin turned her head and looked at me coldly. She withdrew her gaze and said again, this way you seem a bit more normal. I couldn't help but say, you must be sick. I finished my sentence, feeling unbearably irritated. Looking at the unsightly milk tea on the table, I directly grabbed it and threw it into the trash can. Jia Qingning twirled the pen in her hand meaningfully and said, she said meaningfully, why aren't you drinking it? Someone's only being kind. I hung my head in frustration. Honestly, I'm already full. And I'm full of anger too. Apart from this incident, classes were quite ordinary. The teacher didn't care where I sat. I wouldn't study no matter where I was anyway. Since I didn't disturb Mu Wanning next to me, the teacher didn't pay much attention either. I felt bored. Lying on the desk, I pulled up the system desktop in my mind. As I watched, the noise of machinery rumbled. Suddenly, the class stirred. I raised my gaze and rubbed my eyes. Someone had come to inspect. The school conducted regular searches of students' backpacks, especially in their class. The rules were extremely strict. Items such as controlled tools, cell phones, novels, and other forbidden items. If found, parents would be called in. I actually don't mind. Even if the phone was given to the teacher, he wouldn't dare to take it. I didn't have anything else anyway. When the inspection team teachers made a surprise check, I automatically stood up, obediently waiting to be searched. I turned my head and saw Mu Wanning unsettled. I patted her on the shoulder, to remind the teacher to search for things. But Wanning still didn't move. I was a bit puzzled. Seeing her expression was not good. Teacher Xing had already walked to the back row. I handed her the backpack. Teacher Zhang flipped through it and then went to check Mu Wanning's bag. I closed the books and sat down on the chair. Still no one has warmed their seats. Then I heard the teacher sternly say overhead, what is this? Mu Wanning's face showed no expression. The homeroom teacher heard the commotion and immediately rushed over. Just about to explain. After seeing that thing, didn't dare to speak anymore. The inspecting teacher asked sternly, why did you bring this to school? What is your name? The teacher fired a series of questions in a row. I immediately understood. So the plot deviation point they mentioned was actually this. If it's us, a bunch of uneducated rich kids, finding forbidden items would be somewhat understandable. But the one caught was Mu Wanning. This could get her expelled. Mu Wanning wouldn't say why she brought this to school. Teacher Zhang was also angry. Seeing that Mu Wanning only finished reporting her identity, she was about to leave with the teacher. I slammed my hand on the table and stood up. Teacher Zhang frowned. Asked if there was something going on. I looked around. Not sure if she gave up the struggle, or if Mu Wanning was just scared. Took a deep breath and said, she didn't know there was this in her backpack. Mu Wanning suddenly looked up at me. Her eyes were full of complexity. He slightly pressed his lips again. I was the one who originally put this in. Everyone sighed in amazement. The inspection teacher widened his eyes and asked me, "What do you mean?" I swallowed hard. The fear instilled by teachers was still ingrained in my bones. But what could I do? If Mu Wanning were to leave the school right now, then her life would no longer be able to follow the original path. If that's the case, the plot challenge I face is the unknown, part 1. I don't like uncertain tasks. For a moment, I thought of a strategy to cope. Teacher Zhang snapped. "You go with her. Come to my office." I walked side by side with Mu Wanning. I lowered my voice and said, "No matter what the sect says later, you say you didn't know about it. Understand?" Mu Wanning replied firmly. "It was me who let them in. I'm almost pissed off." "Don't say nonsense. This will get you expelled." Mu Wanning still wouldn't back down and said, "It's me." I angrily grabbed Mu Wanning's school uniform. Just about to say something, the teacher noticed the subtle movements between the two of us. "Don't try any sneaky moves on me." I quickly withdrew my hand. I left with a warning, "Remember what I said." I held my head high and followed the teacher into the office. The homeroom teacher asked us, "Speak up. What's going on?" I was afraid Mu Wanyan would answer. So I spoke before her. Just like I said in the classroom. It was me who let her in. Teacher Zhang didn't buy that story. She asked for the reason. I said I wanted to threaten her. Teacher Zhang frowned. My bad reputation was somewhat known among the teachers. She was a person with a strong sense of justice. Immediately, she slammed the table and said to Gu Shiyan, "You've got a lot of nerve. What exactly do you want to threaten her with?" I was momentarily speechless. And a little ashamed. But since it's come to this, I could only say it was to force her to be my girlfriend. Teacher Zhang was the grade coordinator. Hearing this, she decisively decided to call my parents. She did not verify the situation further from Mu Wanning. Mu Wanning has good academic performance. She is also obedient. It's impossible for her to do such a thing. But I am different. My suspicion is so strong that people can't help but believe it. Teacher Zhang told Mu Wanning to leave. Watching her not move, I also got anxious. Note 7 appears to be a typographical error or unclear term, unable to translate accurately. Note 7I seems like a typo, unable to translate accurately. Then Teacher Zhang, in front of all the other teachers in the office, drench my dog on the head. What kind of social scum? A disgraceful person who doesn't know shame. I've already endured it. My father, Gu Qing, came here to get a little understanding of the situation. Yang immediately slapped me, not losing any strength at all. Immediately, half of my face swelled up, then spat at me and said, "Look at what you have done. I am very disappointed in you. You even dare to harm your classmate. Today I am taking you from school. Tomorrow, will I have to take you out of the police station? Look at you. You don't look like a student at all. Am I being too lenient with you? Letting you run wild?" I gritted my teeth and swallowed the beef in my mouth. I said in a low voice, "You spoil me. You don't even try to control me. When have I ever spoiled you?" Gu Qin was furious. "What kind of words are those?" I stiffened my neck and said firmly, "Am I wrong? Now every day you hang around that Zhao Yuding who hurt my mother. You even go take pictures of that person. I don't know if it's your illegitimate son. Do you still remember I am your son? You spoil me. Then go ahead and tell me, how many times have you seen me these past 2 years? Do you even know which class I'm in?" When Gu Qin heard this, he was about to slap me again. I straightened my chest and faced him heated. I sneered, "Go ahead, then. Just try me." Arrived in the underworld. Let my mom have a good look. Watching the father and son confrontation grow more intense, Teacher Zhang quickly intervened to calm things down, and pushed me out of the office door. I kept my head down, holding back my tears. It wasn't sadness. It was pure, damn pain. At that moment, a shadow fell before me. I raised my head, and saw Mu Wanning's slender figure standing there. I quickly wiped my face with the back of my hand, and hoarsely asked, "Why aren't you leaving yet?" Mu Wanning pressed her pale lips and asked me, "Why do you want to go against the teacher?" I was wronged over at I Ching's side. Facing Mu Wanning, I didn't back down at all, and said firmly, "You want to use this to get the teacher to fire you. I won't let that happen. Don't even think about getting rid of me. Not even in your dreams." Mu Wanyan's eyes flickered. It was hard to tell what she was feeling. She said softly with sarcasm, "You cry so ugly." I clenched my fists tightly, holding back my tears. Then I discovered something even worse. I Ching had frozen my bank card. Compared to being slapped, this kind of coercion made me even angrier. But I didn't think I had done anything wrong. Whether it was towards the old me, or the current version of me is fine too. Gu Qin could be said to have completely failed to fulfill his responsibilities as a father. Aside from giving, he gave nothing else. And now, even that's gone. I punched the wall. Gritting my teeth, I said. I'm done. It's over. Mu Wanyan was startled by my sudden movement. She rummaged through her bag and handed me a crumpled tissue. She whispered. "Zhou like this. That just makes me even more annoyed." She grabbed a tissue and wiped her face quickly. Mu Wanning spoke softly. "If you want to cry, go outside to do it. Don't disturb me here while I'm studying." I almost laughed out of anger. The target of my strategy showed no trace of kindness at all. I forced myself to suppress my anger. My jaw clenched tightly. This expression looked more like she had been terribly wronged. Mu Wanning was momentarily stunned. She seemed somewhat shaken by her own words. "Zhou like this. I'm a bad person. Look at me like this. She should feel happy instead." I settled my emotions. I turned and immediately put my current place of residence up for sale on the housing website. The price was low. This house was bought for me by Gu Qin when he was 16. Maybe he didn't want me, a burden, to affect his new family, so he basically threw me out. It was noon. The classmates were pressed for time. Most people would go to the cafeteria to have a meal. I pissed off Jiang Yuyao. The supply in my dream is enough to last me a few days now, but I don't want to eat alone. So I braved it and followed Mu Wanning closely. I looked like a miserable stray dog. Mu Wanning was annoyed by me trailing her. She turned around, glared at me, and asked, "What are you doing?" There was still a look on my face. I forced a nonchalant expression and said, "I want to eat with my girlfriend." Is that wrong? Mu Wanning then remembered what she impulsively agreed to last night. The thing I impulsively agreed to. She pursed her lips and said, "I'm not eating." I frowned and said, "But I'm hungry." Mu Wanning pointed her slender finger towards the cafeteria, indicating I should go on my own. I stubbornly turned my head, and said, "I won't." Mu Wanning ignored me and turned to buy a 2 yuan bread from the snack stall. Her mom gives her 10 yuan every day, but she wants to save it. I stood there watching Zhenlan eating this. I remembered what Zhou Shui said that day. I took a quick step forward, grabbed Mu Wanyan's wrist, pulled her and started walking out. Mu Wanyan impatiently shook her hand free, asked in a cold tone. Gu Shiyan originally was tough. "What do you want?" I said without turning my head. "To eat." I dragged her out of the school gate. Streetlights swept across the roadside. Set sights on the cheap, large bowl of spicy hot pot. Actually, I wanted to eat something better. But to spare Mu Wanyan's sensitive pride, I had to settle for less. But I never expected to run into Lin Zixuan in this place. Lin Zixuan appeared with his friends, laughing and joking in the spicy hot pot shop. Her eyes immediately landed on Mu Wanning. He said in surprise, "Wanning, are you here to eat as well?" Lin Zixuan looked at the gauze on her face. He frowned and said again, "You see, Yan Ku is really. How can it be like this? Do you feel alright? He didn't bother you much last night, right?" I stay away from Mu Wanning. She overheard a fake set of words behind her back. She turned around and moved closer like a ghost. "What did you say to my girlfriend behind my back?" Got caught in the act. Lin Zixuan's expression became a bit grim. I kept going. Still called her Wanning. "Are you that close to her?" I angrily put a bowl of vegetables on the counter. One hand on Mu Wanning. He paid by scanning, then said, "Let's leave." "Ignore him." Mu Wanning looked troubled. She seemed to be deep in thought. Lin Zixuan stubbornly chased after him. "Gu Shiyan. You are influential. Why do you have to make things difficult for Mu Wanning? She is already very pitiful. Can you please let her go?" I furrowed my brows. I saw Mu Wanning's expression grow somber. I felt surprise looming over me. Because Mu Wanning doesn't like people calling her pitiful. I spoke with a look of innocence. "I've never thought Mu Wanning was pitiful. As for making things difficult for her, you are overthinking it. We are seriously in a relationship. Don't you agree, Wanning?" I slid down along Mu Wanning's hand, forcing her to interlock fingers with me. Mu Wanning's body moved. I let out a cold snort. I directly pulled her to find a good seat. I was especially happy to buy 2 bottles of drinks. I handed the drink over to the other person, said in a grandiose manner, "Help me open the bottle cap." Because I noticed Lin Zixuan was looking this way. Ji Wanning glanced sideways. Bai Mei said proudly, "Don't you have hands yourself?" Although saying that, she still took the drink and helped me twist it open, then pushed the drink back over. I said stubbornly with an indifferent look, "My face hurts. I can't open it." Ji Wanning was silent. I continued to say, "The food hasn't come yet. You might as well share half of your bread with me." Ji Wanning frowned and asked. I gave a cold snort. I pouted and said, "I invited you to eat. You have to give me a return gift. Look at how stingy you are. You won't even share a bite of bread with me." Mu Wanning's expression slightly changed. Still stubbornly said, "I never said I wanted to eat your food." I crossed my arms and said sarcastically, "You just can't bear to give me the bread." Mu Wanning really has no scruples when it comes to me. Then she threw the bread straight to me. I unwrapped the bread. Split it down the middle. Half for each of us. Just right. The boss called out our number. I glanced at the little slip of paper in my hand. Responded crisply with a yes. Jogged over to pick it up. Mu Wanning's eyes never left her book. Jiang felt his teeth start to ache. I used to be too easy to read. Wasn't I just a completely arrogant, wealthy young master with important responsibilities, who looked down on other petty ruffians? Now I seem to have suddenly blossomed, shining all over from head to toe. I didn't know what I was saying to the boss. Laughing brightly and cheerfully, Mu Wanning tapped the dental implant with the tip of her tongue. Her throat twitched slightly. I carried a full bowl of spicy hot pot. I staggered over to the table. I couldn't help but complain, it's so hot. But I didn't rush to eat. Holding the spoon, I served Mu Wanning half a bowl of soup. I smiled and explained. This way, the vegetables hide inside. And it cools down faster. The steam rising from the soup was thick, carrying the aroma of sesame sauce. I saw Mu Wanning didn't move her chopsticks. I gently placed a meatball into her bowl. Then I slipped the chopsticks into her hand and said, "Eat." Fearing Mu Wanning might feel embarrassed, I added, "Courtesy demands reciprocity. You already ate your bread. So you should eat my dish. Come on. Serve yourself. You need to finish quickly, you have class this afternoon." Mu Wanning's hand holding the chopsticks was trembling. With a wary look, she said, "Gu Shiyan. You don't have to be this good to me. No matter how good you are to me, I still won't like you." Mu Wanning wanted to see me lose my temper after hearing this. Only then would she feel it was normal, but I just straightened my posture. Then I smiled at her with a lifted lip and said, "It's okay. I'll try harder. You even said before you wouldn't be my girlfriend. But now, aren't you? I advise you not to speak too confidently. You might run into the Huang Xiang rule, meaning being overly devoted can backfire." Mu Wanning fell silent again. The spicy hot pot, costing just over 20 yuan, had a very generous portion. 2 people simply couldn't finish it. So Mu Wanning ate until she was very full. Extremely so. After eating, I wiped my mouth and said, "There are still 30 minutes left. Let's go back to school." Mu Wanning silently nodded. When we passed by Lin Zixuan's table, Lin Zixuan suddenly reached out and grabbed Mu Wanning. Before I could get angry, he let go of his hand. He held my girlfriend's hand in front of me. He immediately stopped in his tracks. Said coldly, "He flirted with Zhu's female friend right in front of me. That's not very good, is it? From a reader's perspective, Lin Zixuan should be a shining, upright character. Everywhere he radiates the aura of a righteous hero. But from my point of view, he's just annoying. He won't be with Mu Wanning in the future. Why is he meddling in these matters?" Lin Zixuan's face alternated between red and pale because of what I said. Seeing those friends get angry, they said, "What do you mean?" I laughed out of anger. "What do I mean? He pulled my girlfriend's hand in front of me, and he justified himself." Lin Zixuan, with his face flushed, said, "Who doesn't know you forced her?" I was puzzled. Why does this person always meddle in these things? It makes me look like a villain. It was clearly Mu Wanning herself who said she wanted to be my female friend. I grabbed a nearby chair. She said angrily, "Have you had enough of life?" Ji Wanning looked at my posture. The vague feeling from just now is gradually returning. Seeing that it might disturb the boss, the students around turned their attention over. Ji Wanning quickly grabbed me. Her tone carried a hint of emotion. "Don't cause trouble, okay?" Mu Wanning thought I wouldn't listen. But I only paused for a moment. Then immediately set the chair aside. Guan nodded repeatedly. "Nothing serious. Let's go." As Mu Wanning stepped out, she loosened her grip on my wrist. My heart sped up as I followed behind. It was nearly burning hot. Who could handle this? Mu Wanning used to talk to me with a sarcastic tone. She never had a good expression. But when she was serious, she was surprisingly attractive. That icy coolness was truly captivating. No wonder she's destined to become the big villain. And still the girl admired by many. Ji Wanyan walked ahead. Her expression was dark and unsettled. Just now, when Lin Zixuan took her hand, he slipped her a small note. Luckily, I didn't see it. Otherwise, that side might have been in trouble today. Afternoon class. I spent the whole time quietly sleeping next to Mu Wanyan. Occasionally, light snores escaped in the classroom. It reminded Mu Wanyan of a kitten she raised as a child. Mu Wanyan felt she was losing her mind a little. Near the end of the school day, I woke up groggy from sleep. I stretched lazily. Just then, the physics teacher caught me in the act. Gu Shiyan asked me to explain how to solve this problem. What problem could I possibly explain? I stammered as I stood up, looking at my Chinese textbook, dampened by my own saliva. I looked ashamed. The teacher said, looking like she had known all along, "If you can't say it, just stand there." I scratched my head. I shrugged my shoulders. Jiang Yuyao seemed quite skilled at kicking someone when they were down. She turned her head, snorted with a laugh. Originally, I sat at the same table as Jiang Yuyao. I moved over to please Ji Wanning. But our relationship fell apart. Now, I am truly alone in the class. Moreover, Mu Wanning ignores me. I looked out the window. The sunset was halfway down. The sky was layered with red clouds. It was very beautiful. I was admiring the scenery. Mu Wanning was looking at me. Mu Wanning held the pen in her hand. She heard me sigh. Lowering my eyes, I asked her, "Girlfriend, what should we eat tonight?" Mu Wanning stiffened and said, "I don't want to eat." I knew she would say that. I said with a smile, "Actually, I want to eat. You're my girlfriend. You have to accompany me." My bank card was frozen. The driver was also called away. I can only take the bus by myself. My house is also ready to be sold. After the agent saw it, they contacted quite a few people interested in buying my house. If the procedures go quickly, this might be my happiest time in a long while. It could be the happiest day of my life. I am reluctant to part with it. But I don't want to bow to Guqing. This apartment is selling for 730,000. The buyer has some connections with the Yi family. They are natural rivals. After learning this news, I immediately signed a contract with them. When Yi Qing heard this news, he would definitely buy it back. How could he let anyone know his son has no selling a house, such a scandal? I have planned this very well. I took it, and rent a place near Mu Wanning, living in the same building as Mu Wanning. But I didn't dare tell her. I was afraid that Mu Wanning would turn around and cause me to fail the mission. Every day, I quietly brought breakfast to Mu Wanning, and dragged her along for 3 meals a day. Mu Wanning accepted it without complaint. She didn't say anything. However, the attitude has become somewhat more gentle. I ate the small dishes with her, and tentatively asked, "Which school are you planning to apply to?" Mu Wanning said she would apply to Jiangqing University, because she didn't want to be too far from her mother. If there is no concealment, honestly applied to Jiangda. I asked again, "What major will you choose?" Mu Wanning said, "Computer science, I guess." I was stunned. This won't do. Because the male and female leads are also applying for computer science. They would end up in the same class. The female lead's background and grades would crush Mu Wanning at every turn. This would stir a strong competitive spirit in Mu Wanning. This is also a key reason for Mu Wanning's dark turn. I said casually, "How about considering medicine?" Mu Wanning doesn't want to be controlled by anyone. Sure enough, she immediately reacted negatively. I pretended not to see it. I said naturally, "Medicine is great. The employment prospects are excellent. The salary is high. And the skill set is very strong. Needed everywhere. Most importantly, saving lives and healing injuries is a good thing. Maybe it could help her shed her villain label, and become a good person instead." Mu Wanning said lightly. "Not interested. I've had enough. I saw through it long ago." I pulled her to eat together. It was just because I felt sorry for her. Mu Wanning was grateful to me, but she knew all this would turn into a joke later. Mu Wanning had already made up her mind. She would be ruthless when I finally exposed the truth. Mercilessly getting rid of me. Medicine? You're overthinking it. Since childhood, Sher always felt she would become an executioner. Mu Wanning cut me off and said, "Instead of worrying about me, why not think about your grades?" I suddenly perked up, thinking of a good idea. "Yeah. My grades are bad. How about this? I'll treat you to meals in the future. And you tutor me." With less than half a month left until the college entrance exam, the teachers have already relaxed. Those who want to teach don't bother. And those who don't want to teach, you won't learn from anyway. Mu Wanning sized me up and then concluded. "No use." I sneered and said, "How do you know it's no use if you don't try?" "I'm pretty smart." Mu Wanning sneered coldly. "Smart enough to always come in last place on exams?" I frowned and stayed silent. Mu Wanning actually hesitated for a moment at my expression. Then she heard me mutter softly, "Isn't there a saying? Polish the sword at the last moment. Even if it's not fast, it shines. You haven't even tried. So how can you say it won't work?" Ji Wanning doesn't want to owe me a favor. Because during this time, I've been feeding her. She has indeed improved a lot. She finally hesitated and spoke up. 2 hours of evening self-study. As soon as I saw her agree, I immediately burst out laughing. "Then you promise me 7. But you can't regret it." Ji Wanning felt an inexplicable feeling inside her. Her eyes looked directly into mine, as if trying to see through my soul. Mu Wanning suddenly asked, "You're different from before." I felt my scalp tingle. I heard the system muttering coldly in my ear. "It already warned you before not to maintain a fake persona." I really understood this time. Just for a moment. He said arrogantly, "It's all natural. Maybe we won't see each other anymore. Let's make up for it during this short time." Mu Wanning asked, "Is it so she can ease her conscience?" I don't know how to act anymore. Saying that isn't quite right either. I hung my head. Looking wronged, I said. If you want to think that way, there's nothing I can do about it. Mu Wanning's lips curled into a cold smile. She got up directly and said, I'm leaving first. I had no idea which sensitive spot I had stepped on. I grabbed a mouthful of food messily and chased out. During this time, I hadn't reconciled with the secret group of simp friends. Jiang Yuzhen still couldn't keep her impatience. Mian saw me once again getting close to Mu Wanning with tender affection. When she passed by me, she actually saw me studying. She knocked on the table and said, What are you doing? Yi Shiyan really treated himself like a good student. I expressionlessly looked up and said, None of your business. Jiang Yuyao sneered coldly. I heard your dad kicked you out of the house, right? Why did you even sell the house? I replied coldly. It's none of your business. Jiang Yuyao pulled a chair and sat across from us. Frowning, she glanced at Mu Wanning. She continued speaking to me. How much have you been spending extravagantly? Is one house enough for you to spend? Do you want to try flattering me? So my dad can put in a good word for your dad. And not just have success with this poor girl. I slammed the table. Rules of Pearl Path. Are you done yet? This person really doesn't have much charm in the original story. Why do I always have so many things to deal with? Haven't you seen that my target is so moody and unpredictable? Are you about to get angry? Jiang Yuyao doesn't want to live anymore. I still want to. The next second, Mu Wanning folded the half-completed test paper and said, I have something else to do, so I'm leaving first. She simply didn't want to get involved in matters between the two of us. Jiang Yuyao stepped in with her leg, directly blocking Mu Wanning's path under the table. She teased, Can we top students really have problems? Are you in a hurry to wash dishes or serve food for someone? Mu Wanning suppressed her anger, and looked at Jiang Yuyao coldly. The conflict was about to break out at any moment. I stepped in between the two of them, and said impatiently, Jiang Yuzhen, do you want to talk to me about something? Let's go outside to talk. Jiang Yuyao looked at my anxious expression, and sneered, tugging at the corner of her mouth, saying, Got it. When I walked away from Ji Wanning, because the corridor was narrow, my body almost brushed against her as I left. Wanning could smell the faint scent on me, some kind of closeness. When Jiang Yuyao followed me away, she even deliberately looked back with a provocative glance at Mo1. I don't know what kind of magic it was. Before we could walk far, Wanning actually stepped out after us. Under the campus streetlights, I was so angry my face turned red. He said indignantly, Are you crazy? Jiang Yuyao touched the cigarette in his pocket. She held one in their mouth. Then she handed the cigarette pack over. I slapped her hand away and said, I'm learning from Wanning. None of your business. Jiang Yuyao's tone suddenly became brighter. With a hint of annoyance, he said, You're the one who's sick, Gu Yepe. It would be one thing if I just let you play around with others. But you, on the other hand, are you just one step away from living in someone else's house? What business is it of mine? It was like watching a movie play out. Our families are arranged to be joined in marriage. My voice abruptly stopped. I looked at Jiang Yuzhen with a face full of shock. My mind was in complete chaos. I hurried to ask the system, Is that true? Why didn't you tell me? When I came into this world, the system only showed me the original character's entire life. It was like watching a movie, Ju and Xiang. But the camera always followed Mu Wanning. As for me, the cannon fodder, there really weren't many scenes to see. The system was helpless. This, I don't know either. I was just about to explain. When I heard Jiang Yuyao say, Do you know what you look like right now? You're just like a simp stalker. Mu Wanning probably doesn't even know you're living downstairs in her building, right? I see you sneaking around following her every day. I'm laughing on your behalf. I'm truly struck by how handsome he is. Not a single word has come back yet. The liquid started flowing backward. Not far away, Mu Wanning was calmly staring at me, with an indescribable expression. Jiang Yuyao obviously noticed my reaction too. She turned her head to look. Couldn't hold back her laughter. Someone heard it. Then let's just lay everything on the table. Jiang Yuyao stared at me and said, Will you keep your distance from her? Or should I drive her away? Or should I tell your dad? You found him such a good daughter-in-law. You decide. I clenched my fists, gritting my teeth. Mu Wanning's lips curved into a very intriguing smile. Said, Gu Shima, you're really something. I spent the entire night thinking about where things went wrong. I was clearly just a despised male supporting character in the original story. Male supporting character. That term isn't precise enough. I should say I'm just a background character destined to be cannon fodder. A mere extra in this romantic drama. Do even extras get caught in a battlefield of love? I pondered left and right. Lying on the bed, sighing deeply. When I heard a noise outside the door, I immediately sprang up. Look out through the haze of sleep. I immediately felt something was wrong. In the dead of night. Why was Mu Wanning showing up at my door? Mu Wanning's face was expressionless. Uneasy, I glanced around nervously. If she made a move now, at least I still had a mop to defend myself. I tightly gripped the mop beside me. I opened the door. Mu Wanning gave me a quick once-over. She said flatly, "So you really did move in." I straightened my back. Pretending to be casual, I said, "It's gone. This place is cheap." Mu Wanning stayed silent for a while, then suddenly said, "The tutoring bird." Without waiting for my response, she pushed right inside. The room was very empty, except for a few essential pieces of furniture. It looked particularly simple. I followed her gaze and looked over. Seeing clothes carelessly thrown on the sofa, the corner of my mouth twitched. I strode over and tidied it up in just a few steps. The room was a bit messy, huh? This was more than just messy. Mu Wanning tugged at the corner of her mouth, pretending not to have seen anything, and said to herself, "You didn't make up the full 2 hours in evening study today. I saw you only did half of the test paper. Since you want to work hard, finish your homework first." I leaned against the wall, observing her. She really was here to tutor me. With cautious eyes, she scanned around. Only after confirming there was no danger did she relax slightly. But because of this, she fixed her gaze on me with one sentence. I was wearing a loose short-sleeve shirt, revealing solid arms. Casual but still masculine. At this moment, Mu Wanning finally realized. Visiting a boy's house late at night. Isn't it a bit inappropriate? Mu Wanning started by saying with a smile, "Forget it. I came at the wrong time. Since I missed the tutoring session today, I'll help you make up for it early tomorrow morning during self-study." I saw her trying to leave. She pushed their eyebrows. "I understand that the tutoring was just an excuse. It's just to verify what Jiang Yuyao said. I know she rarely leaves the house." She took the initiative to bring up Qi. "Today's matter. I can explain it." Mu Wanning slightly curled her lips, coldly said, "No need to explain. I understand everything." I said frantically, "I really didn't follow you. I just rented the house downstairs from you." Seeing she remained unaffected, I admit I was cowardly. I just wanted to be a bit closer to you. She has too many thoughts running through her mind. Mu Wanning's expression grew cold. The next second, the strong man forcibly pushed me down onto the sofa. A low voice said, "Gu Shiyan. Playing both sides like this makes me feel really disgusted. Thank you for your kindness these past 2 days. No need to any more from now on." I simply have no way to express my suffering. I could only explain bitterly. "I didn't. I really don't know the reasons behind this. I like you. I want to be with you." Mu Wanning snorted and said, "Then what's the reason?" I was about to say, when I heard her say, "If you say you like me, you should explain the reason, right? Is it because you think I have no power or influence? Just play around, that's enough. Anyway, Jiang Yuyao is still covering for you, right?" Mu Wanning said with a sarcastic smile at the corner of her mouth. Speaking of which, I suddenly felt, stealing someone else's fiancé like this. It seems very. I swallowed hard. Without saying a word, Mu Wanning reached out and grabbed my clothes. It seems very difficult. The sound of the fabric echoed in the silence. The atmosphere in the room felt very abrupt. Mu Wanning's eyes were heavy and somber. She said again, "Dressing like this on purpose, are you even human?" I really got anxious this time. I grabbed her wrist firmly. "You're talking nonsense. Who would be as crazy as you, coming to knock on my door in the middle of the night?" Mu Wanning's hand suddenly moved downward, grabbing my neck. Gritting her teeth, she said, "I don't care what you're thinking. Since you're living here, just behave yourself. Don't go provoke Jiang Yuyao. Otherwise." I stared at her without a trace of fear in my eyes. He responded, "Or else you'd make me, right?" Mu Wanning's expression turned cold and distant. She seemed somewhat displeased that I had seen through her intentions and said, "You're overthinking it. Poor people have their own ways. It's not to that extent." After saying that, she turned and left. I smiled while holding my forehead. "Not to that extent, huh? In the original story, didn't she make a move on me right after the college entrance exam? Since the last layer of the veil has been lifted. Since the last veil has been lifted, I seem to have become much bolder." Early the next morning, I directly picked up breakfast. Waiting downstairs, intending to wait for Mu Wanning. Before, I was afraid she would find out that I live here. Deliberately waiting upstairs until she left. Then I hurriedly went downstairs. When Mu Wanning came out, she saw I was holding 2 cups of milk and a hand-grabbed pancake. Her slender eyebrows furrowed slightly. "What are you doing?" I said naturally, "I'm waiting for you. Since you've already found me out, then can I go to school with you from now on?" Mu Wanning silently walked away, pushed her broken bicycle downstairs. I, familiar with the route, quickly sat on the back rack of the bike, holding the 2 cups of milk. Patting the bike seat, I said, "Let's go." Mu Qingshe frowned and said, "Aren't you being a bit too shameless?" I asked, confused. "I haven't done anything." Didn't you say we should study more during morning self-study? Hurry up then. If you go even later, there might be more students there. And everyone will see you taking me to school. Mu Wanning took a deep breath. As she got on the bike, my hand grabbed her arm. Beneath her thin jacket, I could feel her slender figure. Mu Wanning's body clenched her teeth and said, "Put your hand down." I held her tighter. He said in a low voice, "I don't. I'm afraid you'll ditch me halfway." Mu Wanning let out a soft hum. She forcibly suppressed all of their anger. The child's slightly cold hand, through the thin clothes, transmitted warmth. Sometimes, because of the kid's cycling speed, it would suddenly tighten, then loosen again. Still sticking to the original plan. I can't understand if Wanning is really being nice to me. I come across as very conspicuous. The deadline I need to meet is approaching. Say, nodded stiffly, biting my lip. Wanning hesitated for a moment. Walked with quick, light steps. I hurriedly walked to the classroom. Remember to have your meal. Who in the school doesn't know what my relationship with Mu Wanning is? Still, I just nodded. Who in school doesn't know what my relationship with Wanning is? Remember to eat. It's just because they don't want others to see us together. With a light step. Go to the classroom and wait for me. I went to park my bike. I sighed. Pick me up in a hidden corner away from everyone's view. She biked very quickly, though she didn't fully understand why she was acting like this. Wanning's cheeks were a little flushed. The boiling frog effect made me let my guard down. On the way to the classroom, I couldn't help but ask the system for help. To check Mu Wanning's affection level. I've been wanting to check for the past 2 days. But I didn't dare. I was afraid to see the affection level at -100 again. My mindset would collapse. The system's calm voice sounded. "Alright, host. Currently checking for you. Please wait a moment. The antagonist's affection value is -70. I paused my steps. Surprised and disheartened. Surprised because my gestures towards Mu Wanning actually worked. Disheartened because the effect doesn't seem to be that significant. I somewhat regretted turning off the affection alerts. I had no idea why Mu Wanning lowered her affection score from where. I quickly said, "Turn this function back on. Don't turn it off again in the future." Then I paused near the school entrance. I was ready to test out. Within 5 minutes, Mu Wanning only just arrived at the entrance. The breakfast in her hand was about 3/4 eaten. Seeing me eat coffee with one taste, I hadn't even had time to show what I thought was a charming smile, when I heard the system prompt. Villain affection value 71. The smile at the corner of my mouth immediately disappeared. What kind of sensitivity is this? I didn't do anything and yet appeared in front of her. Just talking caused the affection level to drop. I propped up my trembling body and said, "I want to go in with you." Mu Wanning put the half-drunk soy milk aside. With a stern face. "Your face looks terrible. Are you feeling unwell? Isn't it because you upset me?" I took a deep breath. I raised my head and pretended to be aggrieved, saying, "I was just thinking, if I were to leave, I'll have 10 minutes less contact with you. We probably haven't spent much time together anyway. I don't want to be away from you that long." And then it said, villain affection value 72. Alright. I've figured it out. Wanning doesn't like people who are clingy or disobedient. Forget it. I'll be on my way. I tried to sneak off as soon as I turned around. I heard Wanning say something. If she wants to stay with me, let's stay together. -70 in the villain's favorability. What? I regretted it once more. After the system beep sounded. My mood is completely like a roller coaster. I just can't figure out what Wanning is up to. What did I think within those few minutes? The stats can fluctuate so quickly. I was walking behind Wanning. It was the first time students saw me with Wanning together. They kept sighing. My transformation has been quite noticeable. A boy in the front asked bravely, "What's happening?" Wanning, our goddess, has finally given in. I blushed and said, "What are you babbling about? It's not shyness. I'm really pissed. I'm really afraid that because of this sentence, it might cause Mu Wanning to have some unpleasant thoughts." I hurriedly stopped it. But after a while, I didn't hear the system notification sound. Nor did I see any reaction from Mu Wanning. I tentatively said something that fits the persona. "What, Mu University's goddess? You should call me sister-in-law." Many in the class started laughing. Some were out of kindness. Some were just jokes. The next moment, I heard the system prompt. Villain's favorability score. -68. I looked at Mu Wanning in surprise. Mu Wanning patted the test paper inside her backpack. Looked up and asked me, "Did you finish your homework last night?" The words I wanted to say froze. I saw her frown and say, "You never intended to study properly, right?" I hurriedly replied, "I did write it." Mu Wanning said indifferently, "You finished a whole test in 5 minutes." I rubbed my nose and said, "I took it seriously." Mu Wanning reached out her hand and said, "Let me take a look." I quickly took out the test paper. This is something I racked my brain to write. After all, I've been through many school novels. Assigned countless university projects. Although this test is somewhat difficult, but if I put in some effort researching on Baidu, I can figure it out. Mu Wanning was somewhat surprised. You did this? This test paper. Besides my awful handwriting, the accuracy is actually pretty high. I muttered. I already said I'm not stupid. Mu Wanning narrowed her eyes. Then why don't you study properly? I didn't know what to say. I only want to win you over. Then get out of this reading assignment. Return to the real world. Where would I have time for all this nonsense? Mu Wanning didn't press me further. I took out a slightly worn notebook from my bag and said, these are the key points I organized earlier. Every subject is covered. You can try taking a look. If there's anything you don't understand, ask me. I took it with a grateful look on my face, wearing an expression like I was ready to endure endless hard work in learning. I opened the notebook solemnly. Mu Wanning's handwriting didn't match her personality. It was delicate and neat. The brushstrokes are powerful. I touched the words gently, smiled and said, your handwriting is really beautiful. Mu Wanning said without hesitation. It's your handwriting that's ugly. I twitched the corner of my mouth. She really has gotten much bolder. If it weren't for the -68 favorability score, outsiders would definitely see us as a close couple. I scratched the back of my head, muttered. So should I buy a handwriting copybook to practice? I heard the college entrance exam is graded by machines. Mu Wanning, a bit confused, asked. What does machine grading mean? My body feels finished. The era she lived in didn't seem to have reached the high-tech stage yet. I gritted my teeth and said, nonsense. I was overthinking. Mu Wanning didn't take it seriously. She said, you really should buy a copybook to practice. Otherwise, your score will just be average. You won't do well anyway. Your family will still send you to a good school for education. I blurted out a denial. Not nonsense. My denial made Mu Wanning somewhat surprised. She furrowed her brows and looked at me, as if searching for something. I took a deep breath, and took out my books from my backpack. I don't want to play the victim, but if I don't lower the class gap between Mu Wanning and me, there will always be a glass wall between us. Of course, if playing the victim can spark Mu Wanning's sympathy, I'm willing to make my situation sound worse. I thought about the plot of the original show I had seen, said sincerely and earnestly. My dad, a long time ago. I have a younger brother, who is 3 months younger than me. We share the same father but have different mothers. They actually didn't want me anymore a long time ago. There was sadness in my eyes. I shrugged indifferently and said, back then, my mom had just given birth a few months ago. My dad brought my stepmom and brother into the house. The three of them were happily together. I couldn't fit in at all. I could feel my favorability rising bit by bit as I listened. I kept saying continuously, before, I just wanted to get my dad to pay more attention to me. But unfortunately, he didn't. He grew to dislike me more and more. I didn't want to blame him either. After all, he caused me to lose my mom. But all these things you said, you don't find them annoying, right? I forced my eyes to redden. Tears trembled on the edge of my eyes, about to fall. Mu Wanning's heart jolted. Immediately, I heard a voice in my mind. Villain favorability, 61. Every word I said hit a nerve with Mu Wanning, rippling gently. Then Mu Wanning said expressionlessly, all right. That's a relief. My face twitched. I leaned on the desk. Mu Wanning really is a master of sharp words. Clearly she feels sorry for me yet still demands from me. I secretly rubbed my thigh. I was too harsh just now. It's probably bruised already. Just as I thought this cold girl would stay distant, Mu Wanning spoke up. Actually, it's nothing. People live for themselves. They don't need to seek others' approval. Your father isn't worthy either. I felt a burst of joy inside. Mu Wanning looked annoyed. After speaking, she propped her forehead and opened the Chinese test paper. Immersing herself in the sea of knowledge, she didn't even notice the sound of me turning the page. After finishing a test paper, I turned around and saw myself resting my face on my hand, eyes closed, sleeping soundly. Mu Wanning felt somewhat regretful. She could sense his hatred towards me was gradually fading. She also recalled what I had done before, playing back repeatedly in her mind. But it was of no use at all. She began to think I simply didn't understand feelings, didn't know how to communicate with others. Now she also thought that I was just a rebellious teenager, just like her, because we both lacked love. So we appeared baffling to others. Mu Wanning's calm eyes sharply snapped me awake. I gasped in surprise. She widened her eyes at me, her face full of questions. What's wrong? Mu Wanning said with a poker-faced expression. I told you to study, not to mess around and sleep. My face immediately fell, gruffly supporting my forehead, sighing deeply. Meanwhile, Mu Wanning slightly curled her lips where no one could notice. I realized Mu Wanning is a very responsible girl. I might have been a bit too subjective about her. When I was awakened once again, I was already on the verge of breaking down, supporting my forehead with my left hand, like a chick pecking at rice. As soon as I noticed Mu Wanning looking over, I immediately focused intently. I wasn't asleep, I really wasn't. Mu Wanning sneered coldly, but she didn't mind my little movements. Until the long break, I closed my book directly, lay on the desk and slept soundly. I had no idea at all. During this gap, Jiang Yuyao tapped on Mu Wanning's desk, gave a signal with her eyes. Mu Wanning's eyes darkened. Get up and follow Jiang Yuyao out of 7i. When the class bell rang, I just realized that Ji Wanyan hasn't come back. Jiang Yuyao had a somewhat arrogant smile on her face. She arrived right on time, stepping in through the door. She threw me a teasing smile. Ji Wanyan would never be late. The teacher asked about Mu Wanyan's whereabouts. No one answered. Then the day's lecture began. I annoyingly glanced at my watch. 10 minutes passed. Ji Wanyan still hadn't returned. I heard nearby words from a few people laughing. I heard Ji Wanyan's name. And the rooftop. Heard it again. So plain that moment, the string in my mind snapped. I suddenly got angry. The antagonist I had carefully protected, whom I had painstakingly kept from turning dark. How come this group not only refuses to help others, but keeps causing trouble? I swallowed hard. I stood up from my seat, running towards the rooftop. I clenched my fists. My fingers trembled slightly. I hurriedly rushed up to the rooftop. I pushed open the wooden door. It creaked loudly. I saw Mu Wanning sitting under the side eaves of the rooftop. Her fragile figure looked especially thin at this moment. Her white school uniform was torn, revealing snow-white wrists, covered in dirt and dust. On her delicate oval face, there were fresh traces of bruises. Just as I was making a noise, she turned her head. Her apricot-colored eyes showed some confusion. Mu Wanning's slender fingers tugged at the worn uniform. There were many whip marks on her petite back. Shocking to see. They told you, didn't they? Mu Wanning's cold voice was a little hoarse. I clenched my fists. I overheard it. You really are a disaster. Mu Wanning's cherry lips lightly parted. Her tone was icy cold. At that moment, I heard the system notification sound. Villain favorability dropped by 100 points. Done. I really feel wronged. Tears fell uncontrollably. My tears clearly made Mu Wanning realize something. She stood up. The graceful figure approached me. She frowned slightly. Stay a bit further from me, if you really like me. In front of the entire class. After speaking, how tall after the gender swap? She turned and walked away gracefully. She didn't go to class. I returned to the sun. I didn't see her figure. Jiang Yuyao saw my expression. She curled her lips into a cold smile. At that moment, I couldn't hold back my boiling anger and rushed forward. In front of the entire class. Gave Jiang Yuyao a harsh slap. She obviously didn't expect this. The Chinese teacher also looked surprised. What are you doing? Jiang Yuyao looked sullen. She stared at me in disbelief. Jiang Yuyao, you really opened my eyes. If you've got the guts, come at me. Why are you going to see Mu Wanning? Clearly, I was the one pestering her. Don't you know? I rambled on, talking non-stop. The Chinese teacher saw me grabbing Jiang Yuyao by the collar. Said angrily, Gu Shiyan. You don't want to attend class anymore. Then just go home. What's all the fuss about in class? Just go home then. I don't even want to stay with these disgusting people. Clenching my teeth. The thing has already happened. I no longer want to try to salvage anything. As for that Wan Ning girl, she hates me so much right now. It's time for class. And I still have to face Zhou Qing. I'm just a pawn in this game. One wants Shiha. What's so special about that? I leave whenever I say so. It really stunned everyone. I walked down the street carrying my bag, feeling wistful and lost. The system whispered mournfully in my ear. The host is just too impulsive. If you really drop out of school, there would be no room for any reconciliation at all. Hearing the word room for maneuver, I just let out a short laugh. I never had any room for maneuver in the first place. You're not unaware of that. Mu Wanning's favor bar kept going up and down. Not a single bit of friendliness. I don't want to court her anymore. Better to get started on other tasks early. Just seeing her annoys me. Before, Mu Wanning even gave me false hope. Although the favor bar was unstable, it was still moving in a positive direction. There was still hope. One big piece of truth could send everything back to square one. Luckily, I don't have a heart condition. Otherwise, being tormented by her like this, I might have died on the spot, but the penalty would at least be halved. The system is clueless. Just standing aside offering advice. There's still half a month left. Host, keep it up. As long as you can make her lose interest in you, there's a chance for a turnaround. Are you really? I hummed. She was destined to be the killer in the original story. Such a born villain. Even if I sold iron pots and pans, I couldn't save her. I walked all the way back. The street was bustling with traffic. Strangers hurried by. Suddenly, I felt very sad. I no longer remember myself. Why I took on the mission in the first place. In my memory, I helped many dimensions. Saved countless leak cultivators' endings. I was very happy back then. Earned a lot of points. Exchanged them for level missions. To return to reality as soon as possible. As for why I had to return, I have no memory of it. The system doesn't allow mission executors to have real-world thoughts. The moment I became a mission executor, my real-world memories had already disappeared. But faintly, I still remember someone waiting for me in reality. I kicked away the stone in front of me. I didn't expect to see her under that rundown old apartment building. She was picking up a plastic bag. She had already changed clothes. The white dress made her look even more cold and ethereal. The two people's gazes met. Mu Wanning turned her head away coldly. She said nothing. I stood still and spoke as we brushed past each other. Sorry. You should go to school. I can promise they won't bully you anymore. I caused you harm and trouble before. I apologize to you. I know it's useless. But I still have to say it. Actually, forget it. The words I wanted to say suddenly stopped. Rubbing my hair, I strode upstairs. Wanning looked somewhat confused. Shouldn't it be school time now? How did he come out? But she understood in an instant. Hasn't he always been like this before? I slept soundly at home, oblivious to everything. Every time I looked up, there was the oppressive, dirty ceiling. The ceiling fan above creaked and groaned. One was hammered loudly with a resounding bang. I hesitated for a moment before going to open the door. I saw Gu Qing wrapped in a cold frost. And behind him, the flashy Sun Yufang. Immediately, I narrowed my eyes coldly. Is there something you need? Gu Shiyan. Gu Qing almost gritted his teeth as he forced out these words. Sun Yufang beside him pretended to comfort me. Shiyan is still just a kid. Don't take it too seriously with a child. Gu Qing's eyes looked as if they wanted to bore holes into me. He glanced around the whole house. He said sarcastically. In 4 years, this kid managed to sell off what was given to him. So young yet no ambition. Fighting is one thing. But following that kind of woman to places like this? I heard you threaten at school that you wouldn't attend anymore, right? Fine. If you don't want to go, then don't. You were never cut out for this county anyway. Besides, you're about to graduate soon. The Jiang family's children look better to me. Pack your things and get ready to marry into the family. What did you say, Ming? I was completely dumbfounded. I couldn't believe these were words from my own biological father. What's wrong? This is the only use you have. Gu Qing said coldly. I heard everything from that kid from the Jiang family. That kid is very good. Not holding your past actions against you. The family is waiting for you to finish the college entrance exam. I'm arranging for you both to study abroad together in the U.S. I clenched my fists and said nothing. Honestly, it's meaningless. Struggling is useless too. Because I won't even live to see the day after the college entrance exam. But no matter what, I shouldn't have. Gu Qing said, sentence by sentence. If only you were half as good as your mother. I wouldn't be this disappointed in you. And you still have the nerve to mention my mother? I glanced at Sun Yufang standing beside me. At this moment, some of my grievances could no longer be hidden. I trembled all over as I pointed at the woman behind me. My mother is formidable. But she still couldn't beat this pair of scoundrels you two make. There was a loud slap. This slap was not light at all. I kept speaking while rubbing my neck. I didn't make a single mistake in what I said. Gu Shiyan. Mom is sick. If I hear you say that again. Hello, new prayer. Don't make me be rude to you. I suspect that this man is whether or not. Even he can get past himself. I took 7 steps back. My mother was hurt by you all. You have a thing for my mother. Deceiving her feelings. Hypocritically showing up at the door. Doing secret dealings behind the scenes is bad enough. And stealing from my mother to feed that wild god. I saw the hand he raised. You are thinking of me again. My mother isn't sick. She was harmed by you all. She was pushed to jump off the building by you. I've always avoided confrontation with you. Because you're my father. But now, I think a stranger would treat me better than you. The things you brought up separately. You are now spending money with Sun Yufang. Every part of it carries a shadow of my mother. Are you trying to? I Ching's jaw was trembling. He angrily grabbed the collar of my shirt. Sun Yufang's eyes were red at the corners. Even while crying, she put on a show to soothe Gu Qing's emotions. In the eyes of outsiders, she really acts like a virtuous wife and loving mother. What are you two doing? At this critical moment, Mu Wanning's cold voice came through. She was carrying a lunch bag. Standing at the stairwell, her eyes showed not a trace of warmth. The moment Gu Qing saw her, there was a brief hesitation. Because she looked just like someone he knew. If you want to argue, take it inside. There are many elderly people in the building who are napping at this time. After Mu Wanning said this sentence, turned and started to leave without looking back. She paused on the stairs. He glanced down at Yuan Qing from a superior position. Besides, he is still a minor. He is protected by law. Let's talk it out calmly. Don't resort to violence. Be careful not to get reported and end up being invited for tea at the station. Yuan Qing gave Mu Wanning a surprised glance. He furrowed his brows tightly. Zhu Yufang quickly pulled the person away. Forget it. He's still just a child. Don't argue with him. I Ching clenched his injured fist. He gave me a cold smile when he looked at me. No matter what you think. If you still want to acknowledge me as your father, then behave yourself a little. Stop making me angry. After I Ching said this, he left with Sun Yufang's help. I stood at the doorway, breathing heavily. I helplessly twitched the corner of my mouth. If I didn't have to follow the original story's style, to avoid causing unnecessary disturbances, I wouldn't bother with this strange couple. I touched my face, it really hurt. I Ching towards his own biological son. That was truly without any consideration or mercy. Sell it if you can. I gave a bitter smile. I want to close the door. I saw Mu Wanning come back downstairs. Aren't you going to school anymore? Mu Wanning stood about 3 steps away from me. The light dimmed and darkened. It felt as if she was scrutinizing my thoughts. I nodded. So you can go to school without worry. The school can't see me. You should be happy, right? Just because of this? I said. I don't want to see Jiang Yuyao. Nothing's wrong. I'm going back to rest first. I said and was about to close the door. Mu Wanning stopped it with one hand. Her brows were tightly furrowed. After a long pause, her voice softened a bit. Does your dad often treat you like this too? Does it hurt? I touched my face. I bit my lip. I shook my head. I won't go either. Mu Wanning's words truly shocked me to my core. No. What is this about? Anyway, it's the review period now. The teacher has finished covering everything. Staying home to review is fine too. Ji Wannin pursed her lips and looked at me. A complicated expression. I'll help you catch up on your studies while I'm at it. If your dad doesn't want you, with just these grades, it'll be hard to get into college, right? Don't overthink things. I see you really mean to turn over a new leaf. If you're left to your own devices like this, I'm afraid you won't know what kind of mess you'll end up in later.